okay, this is the last time we're going to do this for this Disneycember, but I'm sorry, when we saw this movie, The Good Dinosaur, which we're going to talk about, like, I have opinions, but they're not nearly as entertaining as his, so I had to bring him on board for this because they're way too much fun.
You didn't have to. I don't know if this is going to be
I had to. No.
I don't know if it's going to be as entertaining as you think it's going to be.
No, I just, your hatred for it is so entertaining to me.
Just stupid. Okay.
We'll get to it, so let's talk about The Good Dinosaur real fast. Probably not real fast, I always say real fast, but, so this is Pixar's, as of now that we're speaking about, a possible first bomb, in America.
Somebody posted on my Facebook page, it's like, well, it just hit 100 million. What do you think about that? I'm like, that's great. It costs 200 million to make and 150 million to market. Good luck.
But, which I'm kind of shocked that, like,
and we're filming this, what is today, the 28th?
Something like that.
Yeah, so this is it made 100 million. When was that thing released? Right before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely not the Pixar numbers they're used
to. How much did Star Wars break in a day?
These are the people that made fucking Cars 2. And,
profitable.
Yeah, and this is this is an interesting film to talk about. This film is every dinosaur movie you've ever seen. Pretty much, if you see...
I'm sure there's one from Australia we haven't seen
if you've seen any dinosaur story about a dinosaur who has to travel out of necessity of survival, it's every dinosaur movie.
You've seen any Boy and His Dog story.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why this is always what we do with dinosaur movies, but that's what this is. This is... a supposedly interesting idea when I saw the trailer that what if the comet didn't hit Earth and we'll have dinosaurs and humans, evolve together. Interesting, dinosaurs were there first, so they would evolve before humans.
It's like the opening to the Super Mario Brothers movie.
But here's what they do. I'm thinking, like, when I saw that idea, I'm like, oh, like, maybe this will be like Dinosaurs, the show. Because that was not your typical dinosaur movie by any means. That was totally different, and it was really funny. Watch it again. They're surprisingly really funny and kind of dark. So dinosaurs are now farmers, and, like, they're still, I guess, kind of like the human primitive age, where they're, like, they don't have hands, they use their heads to do everything, but there's also...
They're farming without opposable thumbs.
Yeah, just using their heads, but there's also...
Show me an animal on this planet that does that.
But it's not just that, there's also cowboy dinosaurs that round up lesser forms of wildlife by just sort of running around them going, let's ride, even though we never see what they're riding.
Like, Doug, when you put it like that, you make it sound stupid.
And... I mean, just guess where this is gonna go. A young little dinosaur that's afraid of everything is with his family trying to make his mark, and his father is trying to show him how to be a good dinosaur. Everything you can guess from there happens. Everything.
Is that where the title came from? Because I was actually I was actually very confused because I thought watching the film it should have been called The Good Human. The kid who steals the show.
And the only thing that's kind of different, although again you can just relate to any Boy and His Dog story, is that he comes across this little human boy who's also separated from his family. Oh yeah, that's the plot, by the way. Separated from family again if you couldn't catch on, and has to get home. And comes across this little boy that's kind of like a dog, can't communicate because he's a little cave boy, and they're even more primitive than the dinosaurs, I guess, but not by much. And he sort of takes him as, like, a little dog or whatever, and they just go together to find their families. So that's about it, and honestly, just from, like, the base level, it's like, well, it doesn't sound awful, and even honestly, I didn't like this movie, but I didn't think it was... I was shocked just how much the public was hating it, because critically it wasn't, it's like, this is good, I like it, well done, it's Pixar, so it's good, and it's like, no, it's clearly not good, but I didn't get quite this is the worst piece of, like, worse than Cars 2, worse than Brave, worse than, that kind of stuff. Maybe it's worse than Brave. It's probably worse. It's worse than Brave, I'll say that. But,
yeah, I gotta rank it worse than Brave.
Yeah, you really hate Brave, too.
Yeah. I thought that would be the lowest one for me for a little while, but...
Well, no, Cars 2, come on.
I didn't see. I will say this. I didn't see Monsters University.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's tough for me. Monsters University had that.
That
good
was the
message
first
at the end.
Pixar film maybe ever that I just took one look. I did end up seeing Cars 2, but I didn't see it in the theater. I just saw it because we had it on...
The Disneycember thing.
For the Disneycember thing.
It was under protest.
Now under protest.
I think we were like signing
Cars
stuff. I was
2.
like, okay, let's kill two birds with one stone.
So, but that was definitely Monsters University is the first that I consciously decided I'm not seeing this in the theater. And I have no real desire to see it on video or Netflix.
You're not missing much. But even that had a good message at the end. This one, like I said, just beginning to end.
Stay in
everything that's
school,
going to
was that
happen.
the message?
Was it? No.
What was the message?
It was actually like, even if things don't play out the traditional route, you can always find another way. But it connected a little bit more to like college rules, and so it was smarter than I'm making it sound. The message was at the very end, but that's the last few minutes. But
I will say, I will give Cars 2 this. There was like, how dare you say that it's this was a Cars?
The hell was that?
That's why I'm passionate of everybody who like replies. And literally, like they type in exclamation points in capital letters, and by the end of it, all of their words blend into one super sentence. Like they don't even hit the space bar anymore. When I mention it, they get so enraged. I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna claim Cars 2 is good, or even worthy of, taking a piss on. But it knows what it is. It knows that it's just there to sell. It knows it's there to sell toys. It knows it's got almost an awareness of like, here's some cheap shit to entertain your toddler. It is like aimed at a 5-year-old level. This movie, the Good Dinosaur, is so confused.
Yeah.
It has and when you read about the production history, it's no surprise, which is why when people try to there is a very small portion of the population that tries to defend this film.
A lot of them critics for some reason.
Yeah, I don't understand how
get that.
knowing the history of this film, you can. It's like the people who fucking made it won't stand by it. Like a number of people in Pixar are like, yeah, it was a disaster. What can we tell you? Sorry. Like, this shit happens.
Well,
we maybe should have just dropped it by the wayside. And
this is
went
the
through
first
so many
time they've done
directors and this
two
and that,
movies a year. One being Inside Out and one being The Good Dinosaur.
and you can tell which one worked.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not to slam Pixar when I say this, and I know there's always those people who's like, this is it, this is the end of Pixar, they are finished! Like, no. I mean, Inside Out was amazing. I didn't like Brave, but I'm not sitting here like, and I know people are just like, well, they've got our sequels down the road, and it worked for the Toy Story movies, and you know what? I haven't seen the trailer, like, I just saw the trailer for Finding Dory, but I'm like, I like Finding Nemo, can be good. I don't think this is the end of Pixar. I think it's a sign, and honestly, I think it's a very healthy sign, that Pixar can put out a piece of shit and it bombs, and they're just like, you know what, fine.
Their feet are made of clay.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll recover and we'll keep going. We're not talking about a studio that their third or second film bombed, and now all of a sudden they're like, shit, what are we gonna do?
I mean,
do we have the resources even to make another movie now? Like, you look at what's going on with some other animation studios and the way they're scaling back because they've had bombs. Pixar's not in that position.
No.
They can afford to do this, and good for them. They can afford to fail. They can afford to bomb. That means that they've gone places.
Yeah. No,
So
I
this is
agree.
not to slam them, but yeah, this movie sucks.
Let me talk. It's so funny because every time I bring up something good about it, it's immediately followed by something just 10 times worse. The backgrounds in this movie are unbelievable. I would swear they just filmed it. Like, it looks unbelievably realistic.
I think to some slight degree they did, because apparently they were using, like, U.S. Geological Survey maps of, like, Wyoming and stuff, so...
Okay, but I mean, like, it just looks like they fit, but then that comes to the characters. The characters, they look like 3D Gary Larson cartoons, and that doesn't fit in these beautiful landscapes. Literally, do you remember we were watching this and they show mountains and fields and wheat and just and this soft meat? I'm like, okay. And then you see that first dinosaur, that Papa Dinosaur, and we're just like, problem.
I sat there and I just said, one of these things is not like the other.
Immediately doesn't go, but if there was a story or something where it's like that would work. Like, that style would go together, but
If this were
doesn't.
Inside Out, that character design would be fine.
Yeah.
But in this film, with those backgrounds, it is some of the most ill-conceived, piss-poor character design I could ever dream up. I'm just like, who thought this was a good idea?
Every time I see, they cut to a background of something pretty, like just an establishing shot, and then every time it cut to the characters, I was like, duh! I'm like, that doesn't belong there!
I described it as watching Lawrence of Arabia with Gumby in the lead role. It's that you got all of these gorgeous shots, or a John Ford movie, or Lord of the Rings, or something amazing and epic and gorgeous and beautiful, and then all of a sudden you've got Gumby and Pokey wandering through, and you're like, the fuck is this?
So, and the big thing too is that this world clearly lots of movies are in production hell and go back and forth. Watch the making of Inside Out. It's fascinating because they're talking about, like, it wasn't production hell, but it's like there were a lot of changes. And to Frozen, lots of changes. I mean, all these things where they're just going back and forth, making changes to the very end, and they can turn out fine. So I'm not saying that's an issue. I'm saying that with this, you could clearly tell it's an issue. That it was a problem.
Sometimes you can overcome the production hell. This was a case where you could not, and it's all
over it.
And in some ways, I feel bad for anyone who worked on this project because it is embarrassingly on screen. It's not even like maybe we can cover it up like a ruined part of a cake, turn the backside to the wall or something. It's like, no, the whole thing is a disaster, just a total disaster, and it's all up there on screen. And like, again, I don't want to shit on the people involved. Because there's certainly artistry there, and I don't even hate... The funny thing is the character design on its own, like, I feel the dinosaur has emotion. I feel the kids have emotion.
Fine. It just doesn't belong here.
Yeah, it just... So I feel bad for the people involved in this, because I'm like, I know there's talent there, but it's just one of those things where like, how you get the perfect storm of awesomeness... Every single thing that would give you a perfect storm of awesomeness went 180 degrees wrong, and it gave us a perfect storm of suck.
Where did I go right?
Could go wrong, yeah.
And it's one of those films where it's like another big thing about it is the mood in this. Constantly jumps.
Mood?
Yeah, no.
This is so
you know what mood.
Tonally inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, so...
The tone is everywhere.
Okay, do you like decapitations? And do you like cute little critters getting eaten up? Now, I do. But in a movie that it belongs in. This clearly with the wide-eyed, all the characters like, huh, what? And stuff, and all the kind of very obvious humor and obvious story and stuff like that. Out of, like, what would you say, like 2/3 in, they start with this dark... No, not 2/3. 1/3 in, they start with this dark stuff that just immediately feels out of place.
Are we doing spoilers here or not?
You know, you're talking about the first major one? Just tell it. Everybody knows.
Okay, so spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Let's just say I won't give everything away. It goes full Lion King in the first third.
Yeah. But you can tell by the first minute that's where it's going.
The thing is, that didn't bother me because that at least was imbued with some sense of meaning and gave the plot some sort of purpose. You know, and
when we've seen it a million times.
Yeah, we've seen it a million times, but at least there was some sort of meaning attached to it. The rest of the darkness in this film is completely random and arbitrary and doesn't do anything. It doesn't even mean anything. It's just like, well, let's shove this cute little furry creature in this pterodactyl's mouth for no reason. Let's rip the head off this for a cheap joke, but
I think that's it. It was for a cheap joke. You're right. It didn't benefit anything by doing it.
And that's the thing, because I got called to task because somebody pointed out, and like on the onset, like they weren't incorrect. They're like, "Hey there, Mr. Fancy Pants, aren't you the one who's always
going?" Tell me they actually said Mr. Fancy Pants.
They did. They totally did. They're like, "Aren't you the one who always says that 80s films, kids' films are so much better because they were so much darker and children should be scared and blah, 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 and now you're complaining this film's too dark? Fuck's your problem?" And, you know, at first I thought, well, you know, that's a good point. I have said that. Here's the difference, and it is a huge difference. When you go into a film that we grew up in, the 80s film, let's say Return to Oz, Dark Crystal,
American Tail.
American Tail.
Any of the Bluths.
How long did it take you to figure out that you were going to dark places?
Even freaking Wizard of Oz just starts off on kind of like this downer mood. There's just this
We're
downer
gonna
mood.
kill your fucking dog, and by the way, here's a tornado that's gonna slam it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just this uncomfortableness. There's this feeling of wonder, but there's always this uncomfortableness throughout all of it. And this one just starts off.
You get
as
it.
Bare bones, simple, just
Goofy.
basic kids
I mean,
film.
it's just a goofy movie. Like, it feels like it was aimed at 4-year-olds. Like, kind of like the Cars movie. So, right away in those movies we grew up with, it's going dark places. And even the homage films, I feel these are kind of homages to that 80s style of film, like Coraline, Paranorman. The first 5 minutes, you know that it's going dark places. So as a kid, you're prepared. It states almost from the beginning, okay, we're going to take you to dark places. Your chance to leave is probably now. I certainly don't remember a lot of films in the 80s just being so sugary, sweet, and saccharine cute, and then, like, bringing out a character like, oh, thanks for finding this furry little critter. Shit you not, this happens. And this cute little thing is like, and, like, the pterodactyl's like, oh, thanks for finding him. And, like, they go through the trouble to rescue the thing. This thing is trapped, and they rescue him. He's like, oh, thanks so much for rescuing me. And the pterodactyl's like, oh! Like, in his jaw, and I'm just like, okay, no, like, the two of us, we're our jaws, not just...
The big one, actually, the even bigger one is when the kid decapitates the bug.
That was another one where
that was where I just went... You know what it's like? A good example. Imagine, like, the Chipmunk Adventure, the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. Somewhere in the middle, like, when they're escaping from the snakes, they just break its neck. Like, where the hell did that come from?
I mean, that's the thing.
It just doesn't match the rest.
That's where the thing. The bug didn't bother me as much because I thought the Lion King did that too. Like, apparently bugs have no souls to Disney.
No, but
just
even
fuck
Lion
those
King
guys.
But
Lion King also,
kind of
like,
darkness under
yeah,
it.
Lion King always, I felt, had a darker element from the beginning, but what bothered me about the critters, I thought, okay, well, maybe it's still alive in the jaws. Then, just to fuck with the little kids' heads even more, they start playing tug of war with the tail that is sticking out of this pterodactyl's jaw. Literally like, give me that. And I'm like, that was a once living creature just like sitting there, probably half chewed to death, in this pterodactyl's jaw. Now they're fighting over the furry bushy tail sticking. I'm like, this is fucking sick. And if the movie started off with this sort of darkness, I would have probably been okay with it, but to come out of nowhere like that, I'm like, Jesus.
Well, and on top of that, it doesn't feel earned. I mean, like we've always said about dark materials, like it's fine, but it has to feel like it has a place and it has to feel earned. And another thing I'm realizing with this movie, even though I can't say these are like the worst characters or anything, is that when I'm watching it, every single time I saw a new character pop up, I'm like, oh, this type of character. I didn't feel like, oh, now this is a unique new character I'm being introduced to, like Joy from Inside Out or Woody from Toy Story. I mean, there was no sense of, this is a new person I'm being introduced to. I felt like, oh, this is this stock character to serve this stock purpose in this stock story.
The Triceratops, I think, was the only one that was like, I want to know more about this guy. And of course they just fucking leave.
That is true. There's one Triceratops in this that was so bizarre and so strange. And once again, didn't match anything, but was just so friggin' weird. I was like, okay, I kind of wish I knew more about him. And I think
the problem is the whole story. I feel like what happened was everybody at Pixar had one of their, since Pixar is like so open-ended, apparently it's a pleasure to work at and they have game rooms and stuff. I feel like everybody at Pixar had some giant pizza party and they all got kind of stoned. And they all decided to brainstorm a bunch of ideas for a dinosaur movie, and instead of sobering up the next day and going, okay, let's cross this out, okay, that didn't make any sense. Oh, you were way trash, buddy. No, that's not going in there. All right, here's about the 3 ideas left that maybe we can make a movie out of. Instead of doing that, they just looked at the whole nonsensical list and went, you know what? Fuck it, let's throw all of these in the movie. And that's what we got. There was like no self-editing. It is like so many different ideas, and that's probably because of the production hell.
It's
like,
weird because
so
I feel
many
like there's
cooks in the kitchen that it just ended up being this giant mess.
Well, it feels like there's an idea here that's like, let this bloom. Let this idea kind of bloom. You're talking about how it seemed like there were just too many ideas and they didn't cross them off. I almost feel like the opposite. I almost feel like, there's a lot of ideas that could kind of come from this because I like the idea of the comet not hitting Earth and what would that mean. But it isn't allowed to bloom. Like I said, the sitcom, it's so weird to make this comparison, but the sitcom Dinosaurs, I think, took better advantage of this and there was more opportunity to it.
That's the point, though. That's because they were so focused on having so many different ideas that they didn't take just 1, 2, or 3 ideas and expand on them. They just said, well, let's just touch upon these 12 ideas without really going in depth into any of them.
Should we talk about the T-Rex cowboys?
Let's ride!
Yeah, so Sam Elliott is in this. I was really hoping I would like...
I fucking love Sam Elliott.
I love Sam
against
Elliott,
him, but talk about just random. I'm like, and Sam Elliott plays a cowboy T-Rex wrangling up... What were they even wrangling up? I forget.
I can't remember, but...
Apparently it's their
Buffalo
food,
sores, I don't know.
Yeah, like, but wouldn't you know, Velociraptor,
Wranglers
rustlers, Velocirustlers are stealing their food, so it's up to the Good Dinosaur and Sam Elliott and the others to catch them mangy rustlers and stop them from stealing the food, and at that point I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I'm watching this, because they're saying stuff like...
Like, which movie is this now?
Yeah, like, let's ride, yeehaw, and they're clearly not riding anything, but they're trying to make it look like they are, like they're holding onto reins, and they're just going like this while they're running, and it's like... Well, clearly we know what you're trying to do, but why and how is it entertaining or clever?
I really just wanted, like, Sam Elliott's the T-Rex have a coconut just...
Yeah.
No, that was... Do you remember what happened when he said, let's ride? He says, like, Sam Elliott's is like, all right, let's ride. And I just turned to you and I said, ride what? Like, it just is so...
Ride ourselves and just
ridiculous.
riding their tails. Like a broom.
It's just so ridiculous. And that's the problem. It's like, it's not for adults. It's too aimed at like a preschool level for adults, but it's not for preschoolers either because it has death and decapitations. And
guys, when we saw this movie, there were kids running up and down the aisles while this movie is going. Not like the beginning, all right? It's like the middle of the movie. They got so bored, they were just running up and down the aisles. And
it's what I imagined.
It didn't bother me. I found them more entertaining.
No, I
than
did
the
too.
movie.
But I will say this: it is what I imagined the raptor pit must look like when you lower a cow in there. Like these kids, like just everywhere going nuts. They were running in the aisles. The parents were trying to control them, and I'm like, this is a sad testament to how much this movie is an abject failure. Because I've been in plenty of kids' films where the kids are all well-behaved and like wrapped up in the movie. And they'll talk, they'll kick, they'll laugh. They'll always be that. But like the level of just, I don't give a shit from the age 3 to 12 crowd in this cinema we saw that, and it was a full cinema, was just epic. You could not pay them in candy to sit down and watch this film.
Well, when we were little kids, we had dumb crap like the Care Bears and stuff like that, and we sat down, we watched it because it was bright colors. This is obviously for your 2 or 3 year old, but we're gonna give you the bright colors just to distract them.
But this didn't even do that.
This didn't have the bright color. This had very grown-up, realistic backgrounds with very bright, colorful characters. Well, mainly just one color, and they're not doing that much. They're just kind of talking to each other, these lame jokes that, kids either aren't going to understand or won't care about because it's not an environment they can get sucked into. So it's very fascinating. It's a fascinating failure. I can't say I hate it quite as much as a lot of other people do, but it's definitely not good.
I hate it more. Let me put it this way: there is no potential in Cars. There is. You say the plot, and you're just like, oh, this is for 5-year-olds. Like this, you literally can see the toy packaging as you describe the plot of the movie. It's cars, and they talk, and it's like they have a real society out of cars, and you're just like, okay, all right, I can see the Toys R Us ad already. This one, though, if you told me it's like, oh, well, it's like dinosaurs, and it's following this dinosaur around, and maybe there's a cave kid, and it's about getting back in these epic landscapes, the potential there is so great that's why I think I hate it. I think that's why a number of people who dislike it really fucking dislike it. It's because there was so much wasted potential. There was no potential in Cars or Cars 2, and I didn't see Monsters University, but
There's not much potential, yeah.
At best, I could argue it's like, okay, Monsters U was okay, it was fine, and there was a moral, but it's not like there's a ton of potential there, like, oh, this is going to be high art. When I look at the landscapes, like, in this film, and when I see at least some of the story concepts, the bare bone concept behind it, I'm like, there was so much potential here. Again, by the way, for another fucking dinosaur movie that could work, but instead they keep talking and keep aiming all of this at, like, the preschooler level, like that other stupid dinosaur movie they had.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah, all these dinosaur movies have the same fucking trailer, by the way, where it starts off and none of the dinosaurs talk, and it tricks me every time, and I think, finally we're gonna get a dinosaur movie where they don't talk, where it's like some sort of Discovery Channel documentary where we get to watch dinosaurs just interacting, and it's kind of fun, but artsy, and kids are stupid. Instead, they just talk, and it's stupid jokes! I'm sick of it. It's been when did Land Before Time come out? What was it, late 80s?
Yeah, we might be looking at 20 years now.
It's like 20 plus fucking years, and we're still making the same goddamn movie.
Actually, maybe even more. Yeah, I was gonna say, honestly, the
20 years, 30 years, I'm not good at math. It's been a number of years.
The ship for me has sailed, I think, after the movie Dinosaur. Even if they were to release a movie now where dinosaurs had to get from point A to point B and they didn't talk, I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't care because I am so sick of that story now. I am just done with it.
And you know what kills me? Is it's been 20 plus, 30 plus years, whatever, since Land Before Time, and nobody's made a single goddamn dinosaur movie
as good as that.
better than Land Before Time. And Jurassic Park doesn't count. It's a different sort of dinosaur movie. I'm talking about like a kid's cartoon dinosaurs wandering.
Like actually following dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Although We're Back was pretty good.
Yeah, a dinosaur story.
Actually, that's a good question. Is this as good or bad as We're Back? I think that's a good question.
Wow, that's tough.
Honestly, I like We're Back better. Because it's so surreal and so strange, and you know what? When it has those tender moments are out of nowhere and strange, I do feel a little bit of tenderness, even though it makes no sense.
Honestly, I could see kids sitting through We're Back, a Dinosaur Story being more interested in it than this.
Yeah.
Like, that madhouse we saw, I don't see that happening in We're Back, a Dinosaur Story. I'm not saying We're Back's good.
No, it's like, We're Back is a different kind of madhouse. It is the weird, bright colors. It is the, like, where in this one, it's
but
just
that's another one where there's no
directions.
Potential there, so at least it's like,
yeah, so it's
there's
just
no waste of
the
potential.
pure surrealness of it is so strange and so odd, and when they're trying to have the tender moments, it's like, well, I can see how this could work. It's like, with this, it's like so far behind and so standard. I'm like, no, this can't work now.
Once again, credit to the master, Don Bluth. Nobody's done it as good as he did it back in the late fucking 80s.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think. I'll say the one scene I kind of liked in this, I liked how the boy dinosaur and the boy, the cave boy, explain how they're both separated from
drawing
their family.
of the...
I thought that was clever, and the little sticks and everything, and the
imagine this. Imagine this for 1 second. Imagine if there was no dialogue in this film.
Oh, yeah, and that scene happened. Oh, that'd be amazing.
How much more powerful would that have been?
Oh, yeah.
Stupid!
And there was barely any dialogue in that scene. Maybe that's one of the reasons it
That's
worked.
one of the reasons the scene sticks out.
And I like the animation on all the characters. It's kind of standard Pixar. It's like, it's good. It's not bad.
Well, and when I say it's
I really like the animation on the boy. I thought the expressions and everything.
I thought the
were good.
The expressions.
I feel like they're getting better at still moments and just sort of still having the eyes.
The expressions were fine, and that's the thing. That's why I feel bad when I say some of the most piss poor character design ever put to screen. It's because it doesn't match the layout work. But there's nothing wrong with the animation. I mean, it certainly looks better than fucking Norm of the North.
Yeah.
Rob Schneider is the polar bear. Derpity derp. So it just doesn't match, and I think that's why I hate it more, because that's another case of where, wow, there was talent behind the animation in these characters, just like there was in Inside Out, but because nobody had somewhere within the 18 iterations of this film in its production history held the wherewithal or the foresight to be like, maybe we shouldn't put these two separate things together, it just comes off as so wrong, and it destroys all the talent that went into it.
I see like a very clear idea of like either somebody's idea or two people's idea of like what it was gonna be, and then just like either all the notes from themselves or other people or whatever, just everybody else trying to change it and stuff like that, just turned into something completely different. I heard Brave, kind of the same thing happened. Which is funny because they look kind of similar. They're both very gray looking and not very colorful.
Well, Brave was another one where all of its problems were not to the same degree. I feel it was worse than The Good Dinosaur, but they were also embarrassingly all on the screen, where it's just like, oh, so we have this story of this mother-daughter relationship, and it seems pretty serious, and look at this gorgeous animation, and then what are these three little brats in kilts here doing with all their fart jokes?
Now she's a bear!
Yeah, and now it's just like another one where it's just like, there's just too much shit going on there. Like, somebody needed to rein somebody in and be like, no. Like, just choose one or the other.
So
I think, you know how I put it? Like, and this is where the talent goes to waste. Imagine you have the world's greatest ice cream chef. Okay. Make a great ice cream. And imagine you have the world's greatest sushi chef. Like, make some sort of sushi with the seaweed and everything. And then they're like, that's great. Love what you guys are doing. Now we're going to make it one dish.
Put them together.
Yeah, that's why I can sit there and say, well, this is the world's worst ice cream dish and the world's worst sushi dish, even though individually they're fine.
That's a good way of putting it. I think that works. As someone who has tried lobster ice cream, by the way, which was literally just ice cream with lobster put on top, and it was one of the worst things I ever had in my life, I can testify it doesn't work. So, and that was a real dish someplace. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think that's about it. I mean, I'll say that. I think you can get the idea. There's nothing like quote unquote like so bad that it's like, oh, you'll get a lot of laughs. It's so bad, or it's so incredibly terrible that, you know, no kid should see it. It's not quite that, but it doesn't quite work. Even entertaining your kids, I don't know how much enjoyment.
The only way I recommend it is for the layout work. I will say the layout, the layout and the background work is so amazing that really again, that's why I hate it more than Cars 2, because I'm like, all that gorgeous talent put to waste. But yeah, if you're into animation and you really like, I love background work. A lot of times I'll watch an animated film and be more interested in what's going on in the background than the foreground. So if you're into that sort of thing, I would recommend it as something maybe to check out. Don't expect a good movie attached to all that imagery, but
yeah. So unlikely anyone that made the movie is watching this, but if you are watching, I mean, it's like, keep going. I mean, there's great talent behind this and wonderful people and everything.
Sorry.
I'm sure. I mean, it's
all
just,
of you guys individually did good work. It's
it's just didn't come
somebody
together,
decided to make a sushi ice cream sundae out of it.
If you enjoy sushi ice cream sundaes, maybe you'll enjoy this. I think that's about the best thing we can say about it. So that's about it, and we'll see you for the last video, or maybe a few videos, depending on when this comes out, Disneycember. We'll see you then. Later.